Imagine the frustration of seeing essential gas prices soar while exporters ship Australian resources overseas for profit. That's the raw reality hitting households and businesses on Australia's east coast, and it's sparking intense debate about who should foot the bill. As the Albanese government gears up to reveal its plans for an East Coast gas reserve scheme following a thorough 6-month market review, blue-collar workers and manufacturers are calling for bold action against the big gas companies to prevent shortages and bring costs down fast. But here's where it gets controversial: should we force existing operations to share their gas, or just new ones? Let's dive into this heated issue and unpack why it's more than just energy policy, it's about fairness in Australia's economy. The federal government, led by Labor, is set to announce its strategy for protecting East Coast gas supplies as early as next week. This comes after they dismissed former opposition leader Peter Dutton's pledge during the election to compel gas exporters to redirect supplies to the domestic market. Now, Labor is stepping in with their own approach to sidestep potential shortages and stabilize prices for everyday Australians and industries alike. To help beginners grasp this, think of a gas reservation scheme as a rule that sets aside a portion of natural gas for local use before the rest can be exported. It's like reserving seats on a flight for passengers who live nearby, ensuring they get priority over international travelers. Without it, domestic users might be left scrambling when global demand spikes. As they finalize the design, the government is balancing input from various groups: gas producers pushing for business-friendly rules, unions advocating for workers' interests, and manufacturers worried about their bottom lines. They're also mindful of international partners like Japan and South Korea, which rely heavily on Australian gas exports, and have pushed back against past interventions fearing disruptions to their supplies. This global angle adds complexity. It's not just about Australia, it's a tug-of-war with economies that depend on our resources. The gas industry and the federal coalition argue that any reservation policy should apply only to new gas projects, protecting established ones from change. On the flip side, unions and major energy consumers insist it must include gas from existing operations, with exceptions only for those already locked into export contracts. This is the part most people miss. The debate isn't trivial. It could mean the difference between immediate relief for high prices or delays that let costs keep climbing. For instance, manufacturing giants like BlueScope Steel and Rheem could lose jobs if gas stays expensive, impacting communities far beyond the energy sector. Paul Farrow, National Secretary of the Australian Workers' Union, criticizes a new projects-only policy as ineffective. It would achieve virtually nothing for anyone, he says, emphasizing the need for affordable gas dedicated to domestic use immediately, not in the distant future. His union has been lobbying Labor for years to implement such a policy, arguing it's essential for strengthening Australian industry in the modern era. Ben Eade, CEO of Manufacturing Australia, echoes this, stressing that an effective scheme must flood the local market with enough gas to drive down prices. In the short term, that means reserving uncontracted gas right away, Eade explains. Longer term, we can protect current export deals but ensure reservation covers new contracts, renewals, expansions, and any future production. The government has explored two potential models in private discussions with stakeholders over the last 6 weeks, as confirmed by sources close to the process. One would mandate the 3 major LNG exporters based in Queensland to deliver a set amount of gas to the domestic market in return for export licenses. The second would oblige all gas producers, both exporters and those focused solely on local sales, to contribute a specific volume to the home market. The Australian Workers' Union favours the first model to zero in on the exporters they blame for initially disrupting the domestic supply. Gas prices on the East Coast have tripled in the last decade since large LNG export facilities started tying local availability to worldwide demand. Australian industry has suffered for over a decade waiting for the gas reservation we urgently need, Farrow notes. Let's focus on a straightforward system now, not a complicated trading scheme the companies might manipulate. The government declined to share specifics when approached for comment. We're reviewing the gas market and are dedicated to giving Australian homes and businesses fair access to our own gas at reasonable prices, a spokesperson stated. For context, a similar reservation scheme exists in Western Australia, requiring exporters to allocate about 15% of their LNG output to the local market, a model that could serve as a blueprint here. Labour MP and former Industry Minister Ed Husic is pushing for even stronger steps, such as targeting importers who resell Australian gas to other countries. It's infuriating for many Australians to see foreign buyers flipping our gas while we face potential local shortages, he says, using a relatable example like a barbecue stopper to highlight the everyday outrage. Meanwhile, the Greens propose a different path to avert domestic gas shortages, supporting the Australian Council of Trade Unions' call for a 25% tax on LNG exports. Imposing a tax would be far more effective at keeping gas here, and could overhaul the flawed petroleum resources rent tax that's not generating enough revenue, says Steph Hodgins-May, the Greens' assistant climate spokesperson. This idea, she argues, would fund better policies while addressing environmental concerns tied to fossil fuels. In the end, this gas reservation debate pits economic pragmatism against industry resistance, and it's far from settled. Should we prioritize immediate action to help struggling households and businesses, even if it means clashing with powerful exporters? Or risk long-term innovation by respecting existing contracts? What do you think? Is targeting exporters the fair way forward, or could a broader levy like the Greens suggest balance things better? Share your views in the comments. Let's discuss this energy dilemma that's heating up Australia.